Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year to you. Welcome to the Tuesday Night Music Show, brought to you by DJEventPlanner.com. Check them out, along with some of our other sponsors down in the comment section here at the Tuesday Night Music Show. We have Howie, we have Matt, we have Jay, and we have Boston John with Boston John's Record Roundup. Sir, what do you got for us?
Take it right away? Get right on it.
Yeah, okay. We're just going to go.
Blast through it. All right. There was a band, and it was called C-Bank, and I liked them a whole lot. And then when I heard this song on the radio, I thought it was going to be a C-Bank song, and I was half right. It was the lead singer of C-Bank, and her name is Jenny Burton. This is probably the first 12-inch electro dance I ever chased down in a record store. Mm-hmm. The song is called Remember What You Like. Think of like A-E-I-O-U by Freeze. Yeah. That kind of syncopated freestyle-ish, but it's electro, very danceable. 1983. This was a good pick back then, and it served me well, and I've had it for many years. It's 4 years old.
And the name again?
Remember What You Like. And the singer is Jenny Burton. She sang for C-Bank. They had One More Shot. That was the big one from them.
Yeah, that one.
Dance floor filler, and it worked great right in that 120 zone. So
nice.
Put the little sticker on it.
Cool. I don't know if I know that track. I know One More Shot, but I don't think I know that track. No. If I heard it, maybe I'd know it. Let's check it out after the show.
Throw it on after the show.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Why not?
Anybody else have something to share this week?
I do.
What do you got, Howie?
I have from 1974 a little band called Kraftwerk.
Oh,
and it's got Autobahn on it. And a little known thing is that the longest song that they would play on the radio at the time was Inagata de Vida, 17 minutes or so. Well, this one is 22 minutes and 43 seconds.
Wow.
And I was talking to Lori before the show, and she said Autobahn means power plant. And I know you've been on the Autobahn.
Yes.
And so anyway, I went down memory lane, and I just remember that this is so different for 1974. I think for me, it was the beginning of electronic and that sort of thing. So
I gotta Google that. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Autobahn.
I don't know if we got Kraftwerk over here that far back. It was the 80s. We got like Tour de France and stuff, right?
I didn't even know they did stuff in 74.
Oh yeah, I remember distinctly putting it in my my player in the car, and most of the kids at the time were either into country rock or metal, and they were going, yeah, I don't really care for it. I'm like, broaden your horizons. This is something new. This might be something. And it did. It became something big, electronic music.
Yeah, it wasn't getting played at a lot of the fifth grade parties I was attending.
Wow.
Didn't get on the radar, I'm afraid.
Well, like Marty McFly, Back to the Future. Like, your kids are going to love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were in the cookie line.
I really did. I thought it was an 80s thing. It's so interesting that it goes back to 74. That's really...
And that's their fourth album. And that came out in 74. So they're kind of like OGs a little bit.
What's interesting about Kraftwerk, well, they weren't the first electronic music people, but they were up there. I mean, there were others earlier. Hot Butter was doing stuff, I think, before they were doing it, maybe, or right around the same time they started. But there was stuff even like before that.
Yeah.
Popcorn is a song that came out in like 67 or 68 or something like that. Then Hot Butter redid it in like 70. But yeah, they were doing electronic music, and that was one thing. And then Georgia Moroder kind of took the R&B and electronic and married them.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kraftwerk started doing more rhythmic stuff after that as well. They were kind of, taking what they did and putting more of a beat behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like the Autobahn is not real danceable. It's just, But then you fast forward to like Tour de France, and it's like, okay. And that was remixed in all kinds of, crazy ways.
I like it as a driving song. It's that long, and it's 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 the same. It's really, the lyrics are Autobahn, fawn, fawn, fawn on the Autobahn. And that's
Trans-Europe Express is real deep too, like that.
Yeah, that's it. It's all lyrics you get.
Cool pick. Kraftwerk is fun. I've got some Kraftwerk back there. What else we got this week? Matt, you've always got something to show us on your phone. What do you got this week?
Yeah.
Something from the 90s.
So, no, 2023 is a matter
all right.
Way back in the day of 2023, which, depending on when this show airs, it could
be a classic.
A while ago.
It could be.
Yeah. Let's get a throwback.
I almost just want to go ahead and show my phone so I can just hang my head in shame. But Barbie, the album from the movie. Yeah. So as nightlife goes, a lot of places are doing Barbie themed parties. So a lot of people got in on that right when the movie released in theaters. I'm doing one coming up now, right around the release of it on streaming and DVD, all that kind of stuff. So just kind of been doing my homework on that, getting ready. But this thing, and I think, we talked on a recent show or in an after show in the chill room about Dance the Night by Dua Lipa being a good track. Nicki Minaj, Ice Spice. But looking through this track list, there's Lizzo on here, Karol G, Sam Smith. Really a lot of great music, or a lot of great artists. Also, the song "What Was I Made For" by Billie Eilish, which has been kind of big with karaoke and just like a really intense ballad lately. So I am making that my pick as I am traveling down this sea of glittery pink in the Barbie world.
Nice.
I thought June was Pride Month, not September.
Hey, anytime.
It's never a bad month to be proud, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. Good for Matt showing his cards.
Jay.
Yes, sir.
What did you got?
I'll man this institution up a little bit here. 1990.
Something from the G.I. Joe soundtrack?
A little something called Cowboys from Hell by the band Pantera.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Their breakout. Cowboys from Hell, the first big hit to come off it, but the stellar track on it, in my opinion, is Cemetery Gates. Just a beautiful beginning. And Phil Anselmo's vocals, along with Dimebag Darrell's guitar work, is just stellar. There's also Domination. Shattered is a great track off there. The Sleep is a really good track. I mean, there's a bunch of really good tracks, but it really established at a time when that 80s metal had kind of died off. Grunge had come in. And in the midst of it all, Pantera just drove right through the middle of it. Like, this is what we do and who we are.
Right.
We're not changing. And they went on to do Vulgar Display. I mean, they just got harder, if you can believe that. And they're actually on tour right now with Zakk Wylde on guitar and Charlie Belafonte? No.
Benatti, right? From
Charlie
Anthrax.
Benatti from Anthrax on drums with Phil Anselmo and Rex, the original bass player, who went on to form Kill Devil Hill. And, they're opening for Metallica on Fridays on their 2-show tour. Their Friday, and then I think Five Finger Death Punch is on Sunday.
Yeah, they've done over the years. They played with Metallica quite a few times.
Yeah, that's their sweet spot. I mean, they've changed. They had a lot of infighting, and obviously, the tragedy of tragedies was when they did Damage Plan. Daryl Abbott got killed on stage in, I believe it was Ohio, back in 2004. And the gunman got killed. A cop came on and shot him. I think they actually 3 or 4 people died that night from the band, like staff, roadies, production. Yeah, really.
And I mean, they lost Dimebag Darrell too.
Yeah. And then a number of years later, Vinny died.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, I think and I've seen this from Matt and a few other people. It's not a throwback anymore. Like I said to you guys the other night, I've played the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air a couple of times recently by request. These tracks just come back around, and I think styles do as well. And I'm hearing more and more hard rock these days. So hopefully there's a resurgence of that as well.
This is meant to be interesting.
Yeah.
Good pick.
I think it's down to you, Brian.
Oh, me. Well, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite songs.
Wow.
Yeah. John did a single and Howie did a single. I thought, I don't think I've ever done a single, but there's a single that's so good that it's like one of my favorite tunes. And it's an interesting song because it takes 3 songs, it puts them all together, and they're 3 songs that, and in a million years, I wouldn't have thought to put these 3 songs together in the way they had put these 3 songs together. The songs are Keep on Dancing by Gary's Gang. Anybody remember that disco track?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a 12-inch version of that. And in the intro of the 12-inch version, they stole a sample from that. And they took the semitones on it and went insane on it for what
I know where this is going.
And then they did Romeo and Juliet from, was it Alec R. Constantino or somebody like that? A disco track from the 70s, another one. Took a little snippet from that part 1 version of Romeo and Juliet that he did. And then they used a little sample from Tom Tom Club's Wordy Rapping Hood and put that in there. And it's like these songs don't make sense together, but they make perfect sense and they're gorgeous. 3 and okay, so first of all, before I go any further, I've had the German 12-inch of this for several years, a long time. And I thought, well, it's probably a German act. Well, I looked it up today. This is not a German act. This is an American act.
Wow.
So I also have the domestic copy, which apparently is like the original thing. And there are 3 guys from the art scene of Greenwich Village, DJs, fashion people, whatever. And they were inspired by the Robert De Niro film, Flawless. I think it's from you ever see that movie?
Yeah.
He's a cop. I don't remember if he gets shot or he has a stroke or what, but he has to do speech therapy.
Yeah.
And his neighbor is like this drag queen performer or something, and also does singing lessons, but he's like a really homophobic guy, but he has to go get these singing lessons from, I don't know if you've ever seen the film or not, but the song was inspired by the film, and it's the act The Ones, and the song is called Flawless, and it's one of my favorite tracks. If you've never heard Flawless by The Ones, please do yourself a favor and check it out.
When did this come out?
Fantastic. Well, I think it came out in around 2001, had a wider release in 2003. It was like a underground hit in 2001. There was a wider release in 2003. Huge over in Europe. Of course, the New York scene had it passed around. Right. But this is what the domestic one, which I thought was kind of a, just one of our things. But yeah, this is what the original 12-inch looks like from the act The Ones. It's an amazing track, and my favorite version of the track is the original 12-inch version of the song. And it's one of those, like, sometimes you want to play a radio edit of something, you don't need it long. I need the 12-inch of the song. And the other thing is, in the radio edit, they do add a rap in the little breakdown in the middle. And I don't like the rap so much. I like it without it. And the original 12-inch doesn't have it. Now, George Michael picked this up for his album he did. What was on it?
Go to the City.
Go to the City. He's using The Ones Flawless. That's the track he's singing over.
I love that track.
Yeah, but that's the song he's singing over.
Was it on Patience?
Yes, Patience. That was the one.
Oh, I always thought that was another group's track, Flawless.
That's the one.
Who was the other one that had the big hit, Flawless? Or am I thinking of a group called Flawless that had another hit?
The Ones did the song. If you listen to the Ones Flawless, it's basically George Michael's "Go to the City" without George Michael singing on it.
Oh, okay. I love that song. That song is awesome.
Yes. So he took the whole song and just sang over it. Didn't change a thing.
Yeah, I used to play the George Michael Flawless "Go to the City" all the time in the early 2000s.
Yeah, the Ones did it originally.
Track. Yeah.
So it's almost, think of it as "Go to the City" instrumental extended. Is all it is.
Oh, I got to get this.
Yeah, you have it.
Okay. Yeah, because I love that.
You have it. Yeah,
That's a great track.
One of my favorite songs of all time.
Oh yeah,
and again,
that's
the samples,
great driving track, by the way.
The samples in there. It's Gary's Gang, "Keep on Dancing."
Okay.
Semi-toned up crazy.
Yeah.
Morning Rapping Hood. That little doing part, that's for Morning Rapping Hood. And then the groove, the bass and the groove is Romeo and Juliet by Alex R. Constantino. A disco track from the 70s as well.
Wow.
Real, taking it back to kind of where Matt was. It's not quite Barbie, but you know what? Close enough.
How many people here were swearing to God that after he explained the samples and he said, I was waiting for him to say 2 guys, and then when he said 3, I'm like, there's only 2 guys in Daft Punk.
Right.
I was honestly like, oh, wow, shocker. It's a Daft Punk thing. This is going to be interesting, though, because I've never heard of these samples.
I'm only familiar with
Sideways with, it's 3 guys from New York and German, and I'm like, that's not Daft Punk.
I thought they were European because it was such a big European hit.
It's such a Euro vibe. There's no way those are Americans. I never would have thought that.
Yes. But that's
a great
what the song is. It's a collection of those samples. There's one guy on YouTube who actually recreates it, and it's gorgeous. Like he's got all the right stuff, and he puts it all together where he's adjusting the semitones, and it's absolutely perfect.
Wow.
It's, for lack of a better word, flawless. He does a very good job with it. So
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys know the track he's talking about, the George Michael one, the Flawless "Go to the City." Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. So if that's what it's based on, and that's a killer drive at night track. That's like on a good dark night, man. That is a drive track. So I'm glad I'm getting an instrumental of it.
This song I was going nuts over several years, before the George Michael track came out. And
it came out like 3-4 years before, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like 2 or 3 years before it. But it was on constant rotation in my car, back in those days.
And it gives me that much more respect for George Michael, knowing he was a great songwriter, producer, and all that. But obviously, he had a phenomenal ear for music. I
love what he did with it. I mean, what a compliment to those guys.
Oh yeah,
to have somebody like him, take his. I'm not going to change a thing, but sing over it.
Yeah,
all I'm going to do is sing because all he does. Yeah. Nothing else is different.
It's probably. Can you think of any outside of Deadmau5 where he brought in Pendulum, Rob Swire, to sing on Ghost? I can't think of anyone else that's done an instrumental, taken it, and added words to it. Can you? That's not a big thing.
On an instrumental?
Where there was an existing instrumental, and then someone took it and re-recorded it with lyrics.
Instrumental breaks, but not an entire instrumental.
No, but it's like the Deadmau5.
But he did. But George Michael didn't even take out their things. Slight Perfection. I Know I Look Flawless. It's still in there.
Right. So he just added lyrics on top. Yeah, Swire just put words over the existing track. There were no existing lyrics. Yeah. But I didn't even realize that so the lyrics were already there. He just added his own for Go to the City.
I will play you the original when the show's over.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because I think it's like 7 minutes long, but it's 7 minutes well spent. I love the track.
No, I love Flawless "Go to the City." That's such a great song.
So you'll see where it came from. But yeah.
Very cool.
So anyway, that's my pick. I've never done a 12-inch single, but I love this song so much that I had to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm only familiar with like one other song they do, and it's not my jam. It's just not.
Yeah.
That one is special though. And especially when you break the samples down, because believe me, I tried. I am not that skilled. My karate is not there. And they did this over 20 years ago, and it was gorgeous.
Different mechanics and software.
We did the sponsor, Matt. We did it top of the show.
Did. Yes. Look at me. I'm just
you missed it.
I was just so enamored by the quickness of the
I wonder what save on these guys are working in right now.
Well, one of them is not with us anymore.
Okay.
They were
Kevin Savon.
COVID took them. So,
oh, jeez.
So they were DJs. They were kind of designers, and they were involved in all the like really cool, trendy Greenwich Village.
But they only had this
stuff.
one hit.
They had a couple hits, but this in Europe, another one's called Superstar that I know, and then they did a track I haven't heard before, but I was reading about it, where they had all these people in their video, like Debbie Harry and Jody Watley, and
that's
all
cool.
just a cavalcade of and newer artists too, like contemporary artists at the time, were in on this too. Where so people know. I mean, obviously George Michael knew who they were. I mean, it's almost like music for musicians is kind of home, or DJs. This isn't like pedestrian stuff. But it's really good. It's really good. So it doesn't.
But do you ever watch those interviews where they get musicians and they say, "What are you listening to now?" And they name off 3 or 4 things, and I'll look them up, and it's always like either crazy, never heard anything like it, or it's super deep, but stuff you'd kind of understand. It's always fascinating to me to follow a genius musician's road to see what they're kind of like. Let me get smarter. Like, what are you listening to? I'm listening to this girl from England who plays guitar, drums, and piano by herself on stage with loops and creates this cacophony of, sound and music. And you're like, okay, this is never going to make my radar in Temecula. I'm so glad I found this.
I saw a 1974 interview. I think it was John Schneider. Was that the guy?
From Dukes of Hazzard?
No. Schneider. What was his name?
Schneider.
Oh, Tom Schneider. Overnight
Schneider.
or late night or
whatever
morning?
it was. So it wasn't Cavett. It was somebody else. It was somebody like Schneider. Was interviewing John Lennon. And
he did a famous interview with him. It may have been.
It was like 74 or something. And they said, well, what are you listening to these days? He says, well, there's 2 things that I'm just in love with right now. One is this new dub reggae stuff coming out of Jamaica. It's absolutely amazing. And the other thing that you keep your eyes up, this is the most beautiful stuff. Disco. Check out disco. Disco is coming and it's really good. And I'm really into it right now. I love disco.
Wow.
This is John Lennon. Very cutting edge for 74, talking about these things that are coming. Of course, he was a New Yorker at the time.
Yeah. But he was always at Studio 54,
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know he was.
They had tons of pictures of him. He kept it on the down low. He just hey, I'm a patron. You just want to sit and drink
music.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was into reggae. He was into disco when it was fresh. I mean, I'm sure he was tired of it by 1980. But
well, it's even today when you look at different bands that you may not be that into, they may give you roadways to go down to find stuff, because normally musicians are very into, like, what are you into? They're into what they grew up with, because you reach a certain age, I think in your 30s, where you kind of stop moving forward musically and start going backwards a little bit. And what I mean by that is you suddenly gain appreciation for, like, growing up, I wasn't a big Doors fan. Then I noticed in my mid to late 30s, I suddenly saw the magic of the Doors and Zeppelin, and I got more into that stuff. And then I started finding other older artists.
You know why I think that is?
Because it's safe.
No, this is why I think that is. Because I've experienced the same thing, Jay. I am being empathetic with you right now.
Yeah.
I've gotten older and I've gone back and I've said, hey, okay, I'm going to try this again. And hey, this is really working for me. And I remember having this thought as a kid and just pigeonholing certain things as, this is music for grown-ups.
Yes.
This is not for me.
Right.
Artists I can think of would be like George Benson. George Benson was for grown-ups.
King Crimson.
What else? Barry Manilow. A lot of Neil Diamond stuff. England Dan and John Forcoli. There are just things that were not for children. What was for kids? Hughes Corporation, Rock the Boat was for kids. All the Bee Gees stuff. Kids can enjoy that. That's
right.
Universal. But some things were just mature.
But I think it's your age too. Like when you say England Dan and John Forcoli, they were on the Ronco K-Tel albums I was physically buying at like
no, they were on mine 12. Too, but I would skip over them to get to Rock.
But you were, you're how many years younger than me?
You're 7.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
That's 7 years. So I'm 12, you're 5.
Right.
So there's that.
When I Really Love to See You Tonight came out, I was probably 6 or 7.
So I would have been like
I was
13,
a little guy.
14.
Right. And maybe it made sense to a 14-year-old, but it did not make sense to a 7-year-old.
But it made sense that it's like, the category, okay, what you called this is music for adults, I called this is music when I'm kissing girls.
Yeah, the other one that when I was young, some things, yes, something. There were certain Steely Dan songs that I thought were definitely for grown-ups. Like,
Asia.
I was thinking more like FM. The subject matter of it was it seemed mature to me.
Yeah,
the things that we're talking about, I couldn't relate to it, but I'm not a lyric guy. Even the music itself, it was kind of jazzy, and I just wasn't ready for it yet.
Well, they're tough lyrically.
Well, I don't pay attention to lyrics.
Oh, I do with Steely Dan.
I know most people do. I'm a melody harmony guy. And then if I really like a song, I'll go back and say, I wonder what they're singing about.
Yeah,
and I'll check it out.
I'm trying to take where the melody runs, but along the way going, are the lyrics going to tick me off or are they going to make me love this more?
I always would know the chorus. And a song I can think of off the top of my head that I've known my entire life or most of my life, where I always just kind of knew the chorus or some of the chorus, would be like David Bowie's Rebel Rebel. I had no idea what he was talking about. I wasn't only Rebel Rebel is all I heard. And I knew that my neighbor had a dog named Rebel. So I figured, well, maybe it's about a dog. I don't know. And then I didn't know. And the other one would be like Suffragette City. I had no idea what he was talking about until years later where I listened to it. I just liked the song. Sure. So Bowie's an example. A lot of the Fleetwood Mac stuff is the same thing. I had no idea what you could go your own way, which to me, I'm thinking, well, maybe they're talking about you can just go wherever you want to go.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But I didn't know it was a breakup song. I had no idea.
I didn't realize that at the time.
Because I didn't care. I just liked the melody and harmony of it.
Right, but Elton John was great at marrying the two. I always felt Elton John's melody, harmony, and lyrics always were holding hands through the whole song. There was never a moment where I'm like, except for Funeral for a Friend, that instrumental beginning, where it's like the music preempted the words, because I always felt the words were so powerful. Plus, I never understood what Bernie was freaking talking about. I'm like, what's he mean by that?
He's got singable choruses.
I got to think this one out.
Interestingly enough, Jay, now that I'm thinking about it, I'd never thought of this before. I'm having an epiphany.
Oh.
And my epiphany is maybe this is why I like electronic dance music. And I'm picking tracks like the ones Flawless because I don't care about what they're talking about. The lyrics are not important to me.
Not important.
Harmony is. And a lot of those songs have some really cool melody and harmony in them. Some of them are simple and stupid or whatever. There's a lot of tracks like that, but there's some good ones too.
Lyrics are throwaway in dance music. I mean, Lola's theme.
Yeah, what the hell is that about?
They're throwaway.
It's inspirational, I guess. I don't know.
Remember by Dead Mouse Cascade. The lyrics are great, but they're throwaway. It's like it's very to the point, very quick and easy. That's their formula of success in electronic dance music. If you have to put words in, make them quick and easy.
Let the melody and harmony speak, and the rhythm, 100%. And the rhythm in EDM's case. But I was thinking about, who doesn't care about lyrics? I was thinking about this today. Rap. People like rap, they care about lyrics. Every song sounds exactly the same. They're just talking about something different. Country is another one where
it's storytelling.
It's the storytelling thing. My sister, Cindy, who's my favorite sibling, you know that.
Yes.
I was talking to her because she went country. It's kind of like turning gay. She turned country like 30 years ago. And it was weird, because she was never that person.
Right.
So I asked her, I said, I really like what this song is talking about. I said, I don't care what they're talking about. I'm all about lyrics. I'm like, well, that wasn't the way it was when you were growing up, though, because I remember what she was into way back, and it was not
the lyrically strong material.
Well, maybe it was, but everything had a theme. It was what we call pop standards. It was Barbra Streisand. It was,
Partridge Family. I think I love you. Very simple.
Partridge Family.
Very simple. I think I love you. Done.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Done. It was bubblegum or pop standard stuff that she liked, but now she likes country. So it got me thinking, who doesn't care about lyrics? Probably EDM fans. And the other group that I don't believe gives an ish about lyrics that isn't, well, besides classical people, would be jazz people.
Yeah, I don't think lyrics are on top of their list.
No.
At
it's
all.
very much a vibe.
Chord changes and progressions. Yeah. That's jazz. It's
and you know who's very into lyrics, believe it or not? Heavy metal fans.
How do you reconcile that with jazz singers if they're not good?
I think it's the melody of their voice. I think the great ones can follow. Like, look at the Louis Armstrong and oh gosh, what's a good example of him doing?
I got one for you. The song that I think that a lot of people for a long time, not everybody, I know not everybody, but a lot of people misunderstood for a long time or didn't really get it, was like, I want some sugar in my bowl.
Oh, Nina
I don't
Simone.
think people really knew what that meant.
Oh, I know what it means.
I know you do now, and everybody now does, but back then.
But that's what's so funny.
Really
Every time I play it, I watch people not react like I think they like. I feel like I know the punchline of the joke, and they don't. And
then I listen to the words.
Comment like, "Man, I love this." Oh man, is this Nina Simone? I'm like, yeah. Man, what a beautiful voice. And I'm like, could she be any more obvious? And it's like
that's right over that.
Well, you got to remember, people thought Liberace was straight. Okay, they just. People want to believe what they want to believe.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the facts or what's right in front of you.
No.
It's what you want to believe. And that's where people were in the 1950s.
I mean, Robert Johnson. You want some of the quotes from Robert Johnson? Squeeze my lemon, let the juice run down my leg.
Yeah, right.
It just like lemonade. Who knows?
Yeah,
exactly. And I just happen to have this lemon sitting on the inside of my thigh. Like, dust my broom. He's pretty clear about what dusting his broom refers to.
Or even the track, and is it Chuck Berry who does Big 10-inch? Is that who does that track?
What's Aerosmith?
Well, Aerosmith does it.
Well, Aerosmith remade it.
Mm-hmm.
They remade it.
It's a Chuck Berry song.
He had Ding-a-ling.
It's either him or somebody like him from the 50s. It was a Dr. Demento thing.
But a lot of people thought he was talking about something.
No, he's talking about a 10-inch record.
Talking about a 10-inch record. Right. But there was innuendo there. It could have gone either way.
Of course.
But yeah.
You ever seen Spinal Tap?
I've tried really hard to watch Spinal Tap and I can't.
I won't say
it's a musical.
I recently tried again and I can't.
Yeah.
There's a scene you've got to watch where the guitar player plays this beautiful piano sonnet. And it is just gorgeous. It's very melodic. It's very gentle and soft. And he gets all done. And with the straightest of faces, the producer, who's Rob Reiner, looks at him and says, "That is absolutely beautiful. What's it called?" And he just looks him in the eye and he goes, "Lick my love pump."
Right.
But they go to the next sentence and you can just tell it's like, but if you go back and look at lyrics, they're innuendos. Sometimes it's like driving a train through your bedroom. It's like, you guys didn't get that? Like, you really thought? I mean, England Day and John Ford Coley. There's a warm breeze blowing tonight. I really don't want to do anything.
There's a warm wind blowing.
Warm wind and,
whatever.
Just talk around,
and
just hanging out.
Warm is happening. Yep.
I mean, call me crazy. Christmas carols. Everyone's like, "Oh, baby, it's cold outside. That's a bad thing. This and that." No. Let's go to the other one. It's like, are you married? She'll say no, dear, but you can play the part or do the job when
No, it's talking about the freaking officiant.
Oh man.
No, he's like, are you married? You'll say no, dear, but you can play the part when you're in town or something.
No. It's the officiant. Say, we can pretend he's Parson Brown. I guess that's an officiant of some kind. He'll say, "Are you married?" We'll say, "No, man, but you can do the job when you're in town." Meaning, if we ever do get married, you're the guy. You're going to marry us.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't take it that way at all. I take it that he's like, "Hey,
because you're a filthy animal."
He's like, "No." Okay, well, I'll do the job when I'm in town. That's how I'm taking it.
It's not what it means.
Gutter.
It means, that's all it is.
Wow.
I didn't go that deep. I thought for sure it was, when you're in town, we'll get together. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I always.
What are they freaking out about? It's cold outside.
You freak shows. Jesus. Good God.
Oh, no, the innuendo.
Are you married? No, but
you want to pretend? That's what
if we do get married, that's
a good song now. Now let's pretend we're married. Yes.
No, I took it like, I'm your husband when I'm here.
Well, you know what? It's a Christmas show, so it's good. We're talking about.
And in the background, I got some Nina Simone. Put some sugar in my bowl. So
right, because you want to have. You got to add that with your Cheerios when you have.
You bring up a point, Brian, I'd never considered. You think this had part of the whole dislike of the art and artists of that genre, that they were so comfortable and forthright? Because when you think back to the time when Nina Simone came out with that, where we were with white and black relationships and artistry, that's such a smack in the face.
It's funny.
Put out a sugar in my bowl.
What I love put a sticker on her record.
Going to play to that audience.
I love it when it's like.
It's a big
Howard Stern did this. Howard Stern would do this stuff where it's like, you can't say this on radio, you can't say that on radio. He would push the boundaries, like with his match game, Blank-a-Doodle-Doo, to make people say, cock. It's like, you can't say cock. Yeah, well, cock-a-doodle-doo, you can say that.
Right.
And Carlin talked about that kind of stuff.
The 7 deadly words or something.
Yeah, the 7 words you can't say on television, which you can say most of now, or all of now, probably.
Just
but
thanks,
George Carlin. I had that album. That was one of the first albums I bought.
Was it Class Clown? Is that what that was on?
Something like that, yeah.
The thing is, though, there were a lot of censors out there, and there were certain things you couldn't say, but you found ways to say it anyway.
Sure.
And not everybody was in on the joke. And the example that I've given before that I can remember in my lifetime was like Starland Vocal Band's Afternoon Delight.
Oh, yeah. Once I found out
what a nice song.
I just giggled every time I heard it. I'm like, around me seems to get what this is.
But your mom had no idea what it was about. It was just a nice song.
I'm like,
stop singing that. Stop singing that, Mom.
Yeah, no. But it's like, John will get this fast. John, what's the only slow-paced love song that you can name by AC/DC?
Right On?
No. Think Back in Black.
Oh, to Let Me Put My Love
Into You.
Yeah.
And on the surface, you're like, oh, he wants to be in a loving. No. It's like,
nay.
Come on. It's not nay. That's what was funny about Spinal Tap. The song Big Bottoms. It's like, can we say I want to sink you? I want to sink you with my pink torpedo. I don't know if we can say that.
No bad words. No bad words in the sentence.
Oh yeah, no bad words.
You can say anything now, which kind of takes the fun out of it. It takes the creativity out of it too.
The back of my mind now, I have a whole new respect for the artistry, because now I got this funny feeling they all sat around somewhere where they weren't allowed to be and said, okay, if they don't want us to play their venues, if they don't want us to eat in their restaurants, let's make music that they're going to enjoy, but let's make it so they'll have no idea what the F we're saying.
And only if people will be in on the joke.
Robert Johnson stuff is like from 1929, 1930.
Everybody did it.
And he's talking
Cole Porter did it.
Squeeze my lemon and let the juice run down my leg.
Cole Porter did the same crap. Birds do it, bees do it, let's do it. Do what? What?
Fly?
Love?
Fly?
Oh, okay.
I think it was about flying, Brian. Come on. Get your mind out of the gutter. Come on.
Yeah.
No, I think it's amazing now, because I look back and go, good for you. Blind.
They had to get around it somehow.
Let you play. Right.
And not everybody was in on the joke, which made it fun.
But that
it was like audience participation for the masses,
My wife looked at me one night. She goes, do you think this is about, I go, 100%. She's like, that's what I've always thought.
And what's so funny is whenever like a Southern pastor would get mad about this stuff, he was always picking on some innocent Ozzy song that meant nothing bad.
Oh, yes.
But he missed Afternoon Delight. He missed that one.
He missed Sugar in a Bowl. Yeah.
Missed all the obvious ones, but
Ozzy's talking about, uplifting. Crazy Train is a very uplifting song when you listen to it lyrically.
When it changed, the early 2000s.
We need to learn how to love and forget how to hate. I mean, who the hell says that in music now?
Right. No. When it changed for country, it changed with Big and Rich. They just put it right out there and said, save a horse, ride a cowboy.
Right.
They took it from let's be an innuendo to let's just.
You've never heard the I-95 song, huh?
Oh yeah.
By who?
Yeah, 95 song. Oh yeah. Oh, my God.
Or what was the other one? The rodeo song.
The rodeo song. Yes.
That's a big one. Yeah. Good for the winters. That escapes me. Well, it's 40 below. You think you've
I
got
don't
the
give
rest of it.
got a heater in my truck and I'm off to the rodeo. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, every
Were they big hits like
every
Save a
biker
Horse?
bar I've ever
On
been
the
in,
jukeboxes in every bar? Yeah, probably still.
they were.
We'll play that after the show.
Oh, is this like Great White's Ranger? Is it like that, John?
I think it is, actually.
Okay.
That
Or
might be.
Alice's
It's
Restaurant.
Dr. Demento stuff. Yeah.
Alice,
It's that
who the is Alice? Is it in that?
No, it's in the song. It's not
Oh,
an audience participation part.
okay. It's in the song. Okay.
in the
I'll
song.
have to check those out. I probably know them. There's a lot going on up here. I can't keep track.
I know you're always thinking, man. You're
so much
deep
room.
thinker.
Stuff's falling out all the time.
It's fascinating when you
Weeding out.
well, how
It
we
still
got
happens. It still goes on too, even with the boundaries pushed further. Like I remember Britney Spears doing the "If you seek Amy," would you say that really fast? It spells out.
If you see
Well,
K,
we can talk about that after,
but
yes.
it comes from If You See K, which is a song by
Yes.
April Wine. If You See K,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a little
and
call
that came out in the '80s. So
Ariana Grande doing 34 plus 35.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
really subtle there,
Yeah, it's a little bolder.
Yeah, she even like comes out and says it at the very end.
dummy.
well, that's how it is now. It's
Yeah,
there's-
yeah.
there's- but it was cool the
There's
way
not much
I
left.
think it was neat because not everybody
Yeah.
was in on the joke.
No,
Right.
That was the fun part. It was you had to. Oh, there's a lot of tracks like that.
Coney Island Whitefish.
I'm even
If
thinking
you know,
about
you
Rick
know.
James, Mary Jane. The song's about weed,
Yeah,
It is. Yes.
Oh yeah.
you know, but
Yep.
and you know everything.
Well, look
he
at
does is
Sweet
about
Leaf.
weed.
Snuck
by
it right
Black
past the
Sabbath.
censors.
Tom Petty.
That was a little more on the nose, but I don't
Well,
think.
yeah, but Sweet Leaf by Black Sabbath, Snowblind. They weren't talking about a storm.
Oh, that was
ending.
Styx. Snowblind was Styx. Yeah.
No, it was also Black Sabbath.
Oh, they
was
won Snowblind too. Okay.
Yeah.
What was that? Another one on the tip of my tongue that was like,
Then you have Rush with Bytor and the Snow Dog, which has absolutely no idea what that means. If it's dirty, no one knows.
No,
don't know.
have to ask Aaron.
They're from Toronto and they're all nice there, so it was probably fine.
Yeah.
Whatever
Well,
it was.
there's a lot of
it was
let me
fine.
put this in you and, you and I, and just, but it's in somewhere subtly in the song. You're like, oh, okay, I see what he's doing now.
The one I was thinking about that's actually, it sounds dirty as hell, but it's about a car is Van Halen's Panama.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. That section.
That's just about a car. It's all it's
Yep.
about.
Mhm.
But the way it's sang and everything else.
reach down between my legs. Let me eat
Yeah.
the seat back. Yeah.
Right.
Well, look at Aerosmith. I
then
still
it'll
think
be
the
hot
funniest
tonight.
innuendo track they ever did off 9 Lives is a song called Falling in Love is Hard on the Knees. It's a good song. I mean, let's
I
just
remember
come right
it.
out and say it,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, that's the fun of music sometimes. Open up and say Ah by Poison.
Well, that was a little more on the nose again. In fact,
Again,
they
but-
banned that album cover because of the tongue.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
The greatest move you could make is get that parental advisory sticker and a band on your album cover.
I have I have the album without the band.
Without the band? Yeah.
Yep.
See, that's, you want to get kids to buy a product back in the day, all you had to do is get that sticker on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it sold twice as many because everyone had to have it.
I have the unedited, non-barred version of that album cover.
Yeah.
Plus, you had the opportunity
I
to
got that
sell it
too.
as clean or not. Even rap today. Look at it. I mean, they could sell, I don't know. I don't go to Walmart very often. I don't know if they still have a music department, but in the early 2000s, we used to buy all our music at Walmart if we wanted clean versions of Snoop and Dre and all that, because we knew they wouldn't sell swears. Well, if you're an artist, do you want to sell one copy or two?
As
Like, sell two.
as a 12-year-old kid who didn't know any better, when I first heard White Lines by Grandmaster Flash, I had no idea it was about cocaine. I didn't know what
You
freebase meant.
you wouldn't have known though.
I didn't know what freebase meant. I didn't know what anything they were talking about meant. It was sang so beautifully too. Oh, and by the way, there's another song where they just sang over a song. And the song is Cavern by Liquid Liquid.
For White Lines?
Yes.
Yeah.
They did change it a little bit, but it was an instrumental.
I think Jimmy Spin played that in here for us one time, and it's the same beat bed. It's
the Sugar Hill Band replayed the song just like they did Good Times for Rapper's Delight.
Well, it's
that
Patricia
band that would replay it, and they added horns.
Patricia Ruffins,
Forget Me
and
Not.
Will Smith.
That was a sample.
Well, sample, but I mean, it really was the song.
Yeah.
I mean, look at California Love by Dre and Tupac.
Right.
That's
Joe Cocker's Woman to
Woman to Woman.
Yep.
All day. I mean, it's just
that
vibe.
They just didn't have the technology back then to make it that tight for a sample.
Right.
They were only working with 8-bit samplers.
It was analog and
it was 8-bit. It was digital, but it was 8-bit. So I mean, Flash could have gone ahead and looped the stuff, and that he talks about that in his book. It's like, well, I could have looped that; it would have been fine. But the band made it. It was like note for note, a Leodin and Friends, Earth, Wind, and Fire reproduction of.
By the way, I thought of you today, Brian. They were talking about the new craze in music production with like 21 to 25-year-old producers, if you want to call them that. You know, the guy that's behind the wheel.
Yeah.
The new craze has gone from, 5-6 years ago. Hey, what was a big hit in 73 in the middle of the year? And what were the tempo and the key? And we'll reverse the chord sequence and give it to a pop artist. Now the new thing is they want to get the old synth sounds, and they're talking, I think it was a Fairlight that did Michael Jackson's Beat It, that bong, bong.
Might have been.
Bong. And they're now going after that market because they're like, this album sold like 300 million copies. Let's just ravage the album and get the same tools. But they're having to go backwards to get the sounds exactly.
Yeah.
Because they want to recreate it with Fairlight and other early 80s synths.
The reason, I mean, you were there, Jay.
Yep.
The reason that I think that stuff was so amazing, and if you've got a rebuttal for me, please tell me what it is. I'm just talking as a guy. This is just something that I've come to the conclusion of all by myself. I just feel like some of the appeal of some of that 80s stuff, like the synth hits you're talking about, like the Art of Noise stuff, like the NXS stuff, is we were hearing sounds we'd never heard before. The 808's a perfect example.
Yeah.
I'd never heard anything. I know it's synthetic, and I like I like Phil Collins. I like drums, but I've never heard this before. It's amazing. I like that sound.
We didn't care though,
and it was whatever the next thing was. So when the 909 came out, the 808 went away, and they started doing 909 stuff, and they were doing Lindrum stuff. Like the 808 lasted like a year and a half, and that was it.
But it changed so quick. We were talking the other night when I was a lifeguard in Waltham in 1982. Before I started college, I got Human League, their first album, and it wasn't, the hit that got me the album. What got me the album was the first time I heard "These Are the Things That Dreams Are Made Of," and you hear this bam, 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 and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Well, all of that is analog.
Berlin and everything else, and I'm like, this is all new to me, and it was happening like year to year. You got new sounds. Well, went from Donnie Iris, Aaliyah, into Tommy Two-Tone, into Human League, into Berlin, into Thompson's, into Peter Gabriel, and it was like
Howard Jones.
5 years. Howard Jones, of course, Thomas Dolby. All this stuff was coming out of nowhere. Naked Eyes. Then Level 42 jumped it again. And you kept getting things, Johnny Hates Jazz.
Well, why? Why was it like that then and never again? I'll tell you why. The early stuff you're hearing is analog synth.
Yeah.
The real ballsy, stuff is analog synth.
Yeah.
And then you start hearing Fairlight, which is 8-bit digital stuff.
Yeah.
And then 8-bit became 32-bit, and 32-bit became 64-bit, and then it became 120-bit. before you know it, you can't differentiate between a sample and the real thing. Like, is it live or is it Memorex? So as soon as the samples got perfect, it sounded like a regular instrument and the magic was gone.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
It was
hearing new
crazy sounding. And that's
they were no longer synthetic. Right. They were real.
But the 70s had a consistency. You had guitar, bass, drum, piano. You had singers, harmonies. Okay, they had
Moogs and shit back then.
Well, no, they did with disco and dance and things like that. But you had an understanding of the musical landscape of the decade. The 80s, unlike the 90s, 2000s, even now, it went from what is this to what is this to, oh my God, what are they doing? And it just kept cycling.
Yeah.
And it was really, that's why when people say like, oh, the 80s will never go away, I'm like, they shouldn't. It's how much technology did we buy from 80 to 89? If you look at the number one hit in 80, I mean, you look at January 1st, I believe Rush is credited with having the first release of the decade. And if you look at the year 1980 on my landscape,
was that Permanent Waves?
I believe it was, yeah. I think they're like Wikipedia's as the album that came out exactly at midnight on 1980, January 1st. But you look at the
track of the radio on it, which was amazing.
Right. Yeah. But then against that, you've got Blizzard came out, Back in Black came out. I mean, Maiden had stuff, Priest had stuff. Like on the metal scene, 80 was huge. But 80 was also a huge year for other artists in other genres. We don't have that anymore. Now it's another Drake track came out today.
Back then in the early 80s, I think it was just kind of I don't know that it was such a metal versus anything else thing. I think it was just rock.
No, but I'm saying
like Saga got in there and Aldo Nova got in there.
But you could have 20
and it was just rock,
getting 20 different sounds all coming out the same year. That's not going on today. Let's face facts.
The split, as I remember it, where it was like, okay, we're metal and you're rock, was Metallica when they hit, specifically with Ride the Light. They're like, hey, you know what? Extent. We're hard rockers. We don't wear makeup. We don't do our hair.
Right.
We have long hair, but we're not putting spray in it.
But they were influenced by
These other guys are just
Nawaba, pretty. The new wave of British heavy metal stuff that was 78 to like 84. So you had Def Leppard and those other bands,
that
Angel Witch, Diamond Head.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you could have 10 people together in 1980 through 89, and they'd each have a different style of music that they loved that was getting releases. Now, you're either into this mumbly, weird, wacky production stuff or whatever's going to sell. Like the other night, my bat mitzvah. I mean, I played for almost 4 hours of dance music. Played like 25 Taylor Swift songs all the way through. I mean, that's a good solid hour plus of Taylor freaking Swift.
I was thinking about Taylor Swift today and how popular Taylor Swift is. And then I was thinking about conversations that we've had together in the room with lyrics versus melody harmony. And is it that girls like what she's saying?
Because
I was listening to what was the track that was on it? Blanca and I took the car out and we did a little bargain shopping today, which was a lot of fun right before the show. And they were playing, what the hell? Oh, her song Karma was on the PA. And she's not particularly singing well on that song, I don't believe. She's a better singer than that. Than she is on the song Karma. I've heard her sing better than that.
Might be production.
It's the tone she's using. And then it's got to be what she's singing about because she's not doing her best vocals on Karma. Not by far.
Maybe she's emoting. I think these kids call it emoting. Where their voice carries the pain and the message by affecting it. They think they're Tom Waite for a song, unlike Tom Waite who did that every song. That was just Tom Waite. But it's like they scream the lyrics. And I think the lyrics are important.
It's a story.
But back in the day...
People should listen to poetry and leave music to musicians.
It was this. And it's funny because I talked to a guy a couple of days ago and he said, do you remember MTV Unplugged? I'm like, yeah. He goes, that really... And this is his opinion. And he's correct because it's his opinion.
Yeah.
He goes, that really changed music, didn't it? It really showed who could play and who couldn't. It really gave us stuff. And then he brought up Chris Cornell doing Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You. And if you don't...
Doing Sinead O'Connor doing Prince's Nothing Compares to You.
Yes. And I've heard the demo Prince did, and it sounds nothing like Sinead or Chris Cornell.
doing Sinead O'Connor doing the Families, doing Prince's Nothing Compares to You. Or
and
something
the demo that Prince did, and I'm a fan. I'm not you, but I'm a fan of Prince.
What demo did you hear of Nothing Compares to You that he did?
The Family released it, I think, last year, of the demo of Nothing Compares to You, Prince and the Family. And I got to be honest, not his best work. But the problem...
No, that's why he gave it to the Family.
But here's the problem with music. If I play you, Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, and then I turn around and I come back to you and say, hey, Brian, you got to check out the original. And you love Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. And the original is this other band doing kind of a jazzy version of it.
Yeah.
You're more than likely not going to like it because you already like this. Music's, it's sometimes difficult to like both. I think Sinead's version is amazing, but Chris Cornell's is on another level.
We went through this a couple of months ago with Todd Rundgren's Can We Still Be Friends?
Exactly.
And I told you Robert Palmer does a better version of it. And you're like, no way. And I played it for you like, you're right.
Yeah. No,
it's really good.
I'm willing to accept when, if you serve, and I think we talked about this a little last night, and I think it's worth mentioning here about being DJs and performers and artists and our role. And you were very quick to say, I'm really not a DJ. You know, I'm there to do this, this, and this. And I didn't.
I am a DJ, but I'm more this. I'm just putting my life.
You're more other, you know, defining statements about it.
I do this and I express it as a DJ. That's
right.
Yeah.
The DJ becomes for you more the medium of what you're doing. And I thought to myself afterwards, I didn't say it, but I thought he's doing what great artists do and what I think I do. And I know John C. does. And I'm sure Matt does, and Howie, and, you know, everybody else in the room. You're at your number one best moment when you serve the song. As an artist, you serve the song. The Robert Palmer version was amazing. He served the song.
Yeah.
When we go to an event, we're not there to play what I want to hear the way I want to hear it. I'm there to serve the song to a crowd that will respond because their love and passion is for what comes out of the speakers. And I think that's where becoming a DJ and doing it right sometimes is a separation, because there's a lot of people that are like, I'm going to hit them with this, this, and this, and it's going to crush, versus I'm going to let the crowd tell me a little bit about themselves and then serve the song by bringing it to them in the way that best fits the needs of the event.
100% agree. I mean, I know that you had an experience of bat mitzvah this weekend.
Yes.
That may have changed your way of thinking a little bit.
And a lot of terms, it really did. And it's part of it as a artist, performer, however you want to word it. I think it stops being fun when you stop growing.
Yeah.
Or you choose not to.
Right.
And it was a great experience because it was I know what to do on the surface, but this is different, and it's different enough. I think this
other thing's going to work better.
But I have to weave and bob a little bit. Like, you know, I'm expecting I'm going to block and hit, and all of a sudden I'm getting a kick down there, and I'm like, okay, well, I didn't see that coming. Wait a second, I can't. I got to move around.
I didn't see
everything I was taught by my sensei, but let's give it a try. Hey, it works.
But it works.
It was great for that reason, and that's the growth. That's the learning.
You're right, 100%. And I think that's
my role the other night was to serve the songs, not put filters on them, not do dub echoes, not get crazy with the BPM to BPM mixing and go, look at me, I'm awesome. It was, this is what you guys want. This is what you get. It's the French chef that goes, man, you guys just want peanut butter and jelly? Then I'm going to make you the best freaking peanut butter and jelly sandwich you've ever had. and not make it with salmon and foie gras and all that. You're going to find the best peanut butter and the best jelly and the best bread. And these kids are going to go, oh my God, this is the best sandwich. We lose sight too often of what our role in this is. Our role is the middle. We take something someone already produced and made.
Yeah.
We then take it and then we give it back.
Well,
and it's very easy to say all we do is press play. And then on certain levels we do. And a lot of DJs that are just taking up space and drawing air from the room, that's all they're going to do. And they make their money and they go home, and good for them. I'm not hating on them at all. But
do you know what I wanted to talk about this week?
The song.
Good. And that's a really good way to wrap the show. What I wanted to talk about this week was Burning Man and what happened there, because that's interesting. But you know what? I was just thinking to myself, let's save it for next week, because by the time the show airs, Burning Man 2024 will probably be happening.
By the way,
it's a really good time to talk about it next week.
By the way, I have to throw this out, because I met a girl probably 20 years ago who would do this all the time. And I finally cornered her and asked her about it. And she's like, you're ever in one of those conversations, 4 or 5 people, you feel like you're just being ignored? You ever want to really break in? Here's the line. Because she would throw this line out throughout the night. And here's the line you want to use. This one time at Burning Man, and everyone would shut right up and be like, what happened? So if you're ever at a loss where you feel you're being ignored at a cocktail party,
I love that story.
Your wife or husband or girlfriend or whoever.
Yeah. And
you just want to interject something in the evening. Here's the line. Oh, that reminds me, this one time at Burning Man.
Yeah.
It's sort of a modern day, this one time at band camp.
I love that